we didn't really discuss it on the Discord, but I think all three of us had some sort of reaction to seeing this.
Nintendo now has a U.S. patent on summoning characters and making them battle for you.
What the
So Nintendo was granted a patent last week which covers the action of summoning a character and making them battle on the player's behalf. It describes a situation where a console or other system is being used to run a video game from storage. The player controls a character in a virtual space. The player can perform an input command, make a sub-character appear, i.e. summon another character. If there's an enemy where the sub-character appears, the player can control a battle between the sub-character and the enemy. If there's no enemy where the sub-character appears, the sub-character will automatically move around. The player can move the sub-character to a different location on the field, and if the enemy is there, they can control a battle between the sub-character and the enemy. The most obvious example being a Pokemon game, though it does, in theory, cover stuff like Pikmin.
Right.
This is a ridiculous patent to have been granted to them, largely on account of the fact that they didn't invent the concept.
No.
I don't know how this got through the patent office. I mean, like Astral Chain came out before, Astral Chain came out before Pokemon Legends Arceus, which would be the earliest example that meets all the criteria for the patent they've been granted.
I think this could be. Does this also mean turn-based games as well?
I don't. Well, it doesn't specifically. There's no enemy where the sub-character will automatically move around. If there's an enemy where the sub-character, the player can control a battle between the sub-character and the enemy. The player can perform an input command to make a sub-character appear. No, because the player could perform an input command to make the sub-character appear means that they have to, before engagement with any kind of battle, have like an auto, like, boom, summon available. So it applies to just summoning a guy and then having a battle happen with the summoned guy. Any situation like that.
This should not have gotten through. This is ridiculous.
The thing about patents, and something they do mention in the story, patents aren't like copyright. They can be selectively enforced, which is basically like, and when you're, so what it is that when you're in a patent lawsuit, they have to go, hey, you are stealing our development, right? Like, this is something we invented. You are taking the thing we invented and you are repackaging it and selling it. So they have to prove more in a patent lawsuit than they have to prove in like a copyright lawsuit, because a copyright lawsuit, they have to go, look, this is our IP. This is them using it, right? In a patent lawsuit, they have to go, this is them intentionally taking our design and matching it. It also obviously doesn't apply to things before the patent, because that from my understanding of patents, it invalidates your claim on like ownership of an intellectual property if that has already been done by someone else. You can't go posthumously and be like, actually, we invented that beforehand. You can't have done that.
I'm very, obviously, as this article says by VGC, that I'm obviously concerned about future Persona games, for example. On the other side of that, like, Nintendo could just be trying to crack down on stuff like Pal World, and they don't give a shit about Persona. But there is obviously long-term, like, wait and see stuff here.
Nintendo is known to be litigious. Like, they sued Pal World with very little grounds to sue Pal World. In fact, Pal World was also a patent suit based on the capturing of creatures in balls.
Yes.
So, it's I mean, and how did their Pal World suit go? Because that's really relevant here. Pal World.
Pokemon.
Why he's looking that up?
Not make bad games and not worry about it. That.
I mean, yeah, like that's the thing is though is as we all know that it's a lot easier to do lawsuits than it is to just make good video games apparently, which is weird for a company that traditionally makes some of the best video games.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, Nintendo is not the one who often is making the Pokemon games. I would love for them to take over. I would love for Nintendo EAD to be like, we don't believe you can do this anymore. We're going to handle it. But, that's not the case. It's Game Freak, and Game Freak apparently loves to slack off a bunch.
Or just not expand their team, or I don't know.
Want
to contract out. I know they have to contract out a certain amount, but apparently not enough.
They whatever they're doing, it's not spending the money to get this where it needs to be.
Yeah. And,
so there's another article that I found by IGN from last month about the Pal World Nintendo lawsuit that I think is relevant here. It basically goes over how that lawsuit is predicated on 3 patents. Right.
Okay.
And one of which they made a strong enough argument that Pocket Pair decided to remove the infringing mechanic. And that was that in Pal World, originally you would throw your ball out and summon the guy. That was a mechanic that they had patented. So now they've removed that. In Pal World now, if you go to summon your guy, they will just appear next to you. They won't appear where you throw a ball. Because that does technically infringe on their patent information, and so they can't do that. Nobody can do that now. You cannot throw a thing and have a guy appear by the thing. Now, the one that is currently at that is most contentious in the lawsuit, which is still ongoing and has resulted in Nintendo actually rewriting their patent, is the ride mechanic. They have a patent on being able to board a character that was specifically a character and not a tool, like a parachute or something. It's you bring a guy out and you board them for a function. That is something that Nintendo has copyrighted.
Copyrighted or patented?
Patented.
Okay.
But Nintendo has had to rewrite that patent because it's at fairly high risk of being deemed invalid.
Yes.
And there is so you could be granted a patent, but then while under legal scrutiny, a judge can deem that patent invalid.
Which if there was any sliver of justice anywhere within this justice system, it would strike this down.
That also doesn't mean that you no longer have the patent. It means that you need to adjust the patent to be legally valid.
Right.
It's also assuming that whoever is getting this case as a judge knows jack or shit about any of this.
Well, right.
Like that's a big problem that you've seen with video game anything getting legislated or talked about is a lot of the people who work on this shit are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and they don't understand any of it.
They handled the Street Fighter lawsuit issue like a few decades ago pretty well. But in today's case, I don't know whether I can trust anyone to see this for what it is.
We have to also keep in mind is that in both of these cases, the patent they're being granted. Well, no, sorry. In the Pocket Pair case, the patent they're being granted is a Japanese patent, not a U.S. patent.
Gotcha.
Nintendo now has a U.S. patent for summoning characters and making them battle for you, which means it operates a little differently.
Okay. Okay.
Wild.
Bunch of cool. It would not be a Nintendo show if we didn't have a bunch of cool announcements followed by some litigious bullshit.
Yeah.
This is the most Nintendo week of all time, arguably.
I know that you have in a lawsuit based on patent, you have the opportunity to prove that you or somebody else developed the invention that is patented before the lawsuit like is able to continue to go forward, because you can prove a patent is invalid on basis that the person patenting it didn't actually invent it. If you can like I think famously like the television was invented by two people simultaneously. I
can tell you who is credited with it. You actually learn about that in college journalism classes. It's Philo Farnsworth.
Right. And so another guy similarly invented the TV, but independently of him. And there was a patent lawsuit, and the lawsuit was dropped on the grounds that at least this could be complete bullshit that I learned at some point, but it's dropped on the grounds that you can prove that the invention was created before the patent was developed.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
this is bullshit. That's all I gotta say.
I get it. Makes me concerned for the next Persona.
So, like, if I'm thinking about what Pokemon intends to do, what we've seen so far, the fact that they went after Power World but did not go after Temtem means that it's like you have to be pretty close to Pokemon and be making millions of dollars and being up there.
Yeah, I can definitely say when I look at Power World, my thought is like, well, I mean, for fuck's sake, look at it.
Right.
Look at some of these designs. Look at some of this shit.
I know why you have to do this as a company, because like it's just a market advantage. You just get an advantage for doing things like this. The economic forces kind of demand that you try to hoard as many technical features as you can to be exclusive. I think the most famous example of like a successful implementation of this kind of strategy was Bandai Namco in 1995. Got the patent for games during loading screens.
That's right. Yeah.
And now the patent did expire in 2015, so anybody can do it now. But like it just meant that Bandai Namco has an advantage where they can put mini games in loading screens, and no one else is allowed to do that.
It's so stupid.
It's incredibly stupid. It makes me think of like, imagine if in a movie only one studio could do this, like a Dutch angle for a shot, right? Like it'd be the dumbest thing you've ever heard your entire life.
Stupid.
But also, if you're a movie studio and that is an option, being the only person allowed to do a Dutch angle, you take that because you make a ton of money by having exclusive rights to doing this thing that looks nice. And so your movies have an advantage over other movies.
Like, yes, absolutely. It's the unfortunate truth of like, I know how to be a good capitalist. I don't want to be one.
Right.
Like
it's bad to be capitalist, but we have a system where it incentivizes you to be this shithead. So
yeah, and then on the other side of that, it's you think about like the thing that always comes to my mind is like Blizzard. Blizzard used to really do copyright claims and crack down hard on private servers. Like they were really big on that. And this could have just been their company blowing smoke, but they were like, yeah, the reason why we do that is honestly, we don't give a shit if you make a private server. It's more of we have to be actively defending our IP or otherwise we lose the copyright.
Right. Again, the system itself incentivizes it in more ways than one.
Yeah, so they're like, if it were up to us, we wouldn't give a shit. But yo, dog, we kind of want to keep owning World of Warcraft.
Yeah, because the precedent is, if another major company, if Sony then decides I'm gonna make a World of Warcraft server and starts selling World of Warcraft from Sony. They are legally allowed to if no legal action is taken against people that are doing the same thing, because the thing with copy is it can't be selectively enforced. You have to be broadly enforcing your copyright. Otherwise, they can point to another person that has been allowed to do something as legal precedent for why they should be able to do it.
Yep.
Sucks.
Not true of patent law, though. Patent law, you don't lose a patent for not enforcing it. You just can now enforce that patent.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the legal news. We'll be sure to keep an eye on this as it goes forward. I'm sure there'll be something that develops around this eventually.
I'm sure it'll be news. Yeah.
I mean, based on their other patents, they have a lot of broad patents like this. They kind of rarely do anything with it unless they want to sue somebody they don't like. So,
yeah.
If nobody comes up and pisses Nintendo off like Pocket Pair did, we're not going to hear anything about it.
Right, and I think that in Pocket Pair's case, like, it was very flagrant. It was very like, we're making Pokemon. What are you going to do about it? Fuck you. And it was like, bet.
Another point is that this only comes into apply if specifically a U.S. company pisses off Nintendo.
Right.
Because if it's a Japanese company pisses off Nintendo, it's going to go into Japanese patent law. But if a U.S. company, say like Atlas moves to America and does a Persona game that is like similar to Legends ZA, then they could theoretically sue them. But also in that case, they probably won't. They want to have a good relationship with these other large developers.
And there's PR stuff too. I wonder, depending on who they go after, may not be worth it.
Yeah, like taking down Persona, for example, probably isn't worth the PR nightmare that comes with it.
So they want to have a good relationship with Atlas. They want Persona games on the Switch.
That too.
So they're like,
they don't
benefit
benefit from that.
Versus like Power World is like, this is actively fucking with Pokemon.
Yeah, this is actively messing with us and not on our platform.
Yeah. So Anyway, that's that story. Last story is kind of not a traditional story, but